Adam and Gimli from LUCIDPIXUL. He's here to join us today. About a year ago, Pewdiepie, or Felix, the well-known YouTuber, put out a video sharing the beginning of his new art journey. And being an art teacher, being a professional artist, and being an art YouTuber, first and foremost, my ears perked up because I've been a huge fan of his channel for years, and seeing him dip his toes into my pond was very, very heartwarming, and I'm sure a lot of artists feel the same way. Not only because he was doing it, but because he was really taking it seriously. And fast forward 365 days, he's just posted an update, which we're going to be watching together, where he's really proven that. He's been drawing every single day, he's getting very ambitious, he's pushing himself, and I feel that what he's doing isn't just great for himself, but I feel that, whether he knows it or not, he's doing a great service for the art community as a whole. I'm really, really excited about this. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to leave it at that for now. And me and Gimli are going to start watching the video. So let's get started.
I drew every day for a year. What's the progress? Was it worth it? So this all started as a random idea. I wanted to make a progression video and I picked art because I thought it was easy to track. Like, I'll draw for 30 days, I can show the first day and then I can compare it to the last day. That will be interesting to see. Did I make progress? People were so encouraging on the video and I really enjoyed picking up drawing. So I kept going and I did a 100-day one and people enjoyed it even more. There was no way I was gonna stop. I had to do at least a year. And here we are. Being here, I have so many emotions. I am happy. All right, let's dig into it. Let's watch. Sorry, my nails. This is where it all started. 365 days ago. Day one. Is that a self-portrait? What's up, Björn? Yes. Yes. Man, this is nice to watch. Like, okay, some are not terrible. This gives me confidence. Here's when I started to look up tutorials and stuff online. So you think it'd be better, but they all kind of look like they have some sort of allergy. Like they ate a lobster and they have a seafood allergy. The chin is very big. I probably would have made it something more like, I wonder if I can fix this. I feel bad for future past self. Damn, I drew so hard, I can't erase. Damn, such a simple change and it's already so much better.
Right off the bat, Pewdiepie has already proven in 1 year that he's better at sketchbooks than me. I sucked at sketchbooks. I always had the intention at the beginning that I was going to have wall to wall, from the front to the back of the book, just crammed full of artwork. And what ended up happening was I would do a doodle and then feel, ugh, no, this page is corrupted. And then I would flip the page and then I'd do a doodle and flip the page. I'd end up having to tear out 2/3 of my book because it was just mostly scrap. And he's already jumping into it and allowing himself to just doodle and make these happy accidents and see where it goes. So right off the bat, he's already showing that, Gimli, he's already showing that, Sweetie, what are you doing? He's already showing that he's sniffing my microphone, that he's better at that. The other thing I would mention too is he kind of shows how he can make a more idealistic face. He tapered in the face and made it a little bit more aesthetic. That said, don't knock those old drawings where the faces were a little bit more oval. Those old faces you drew might have different dimensions, but what you're actually doing is showing a diversity of different looks. So I wouldn't discourage you from continuing that.
It's just still being there. Like, it's just nice to look at regardless. But yeah, this is the last thing I drew for my 100-day video, and yeah, it's cute. I did it. I drew something. So let's check the progress from there on. That's wrong. First of all, don't do what I did. I just kept drawing the same things. Anime girl, too much anime. Just bad. Just bad. I was trying to be technical and...
Not entirely a bad idea. I mean, everybody kind of goes through that phase. What you're doing is you're developing your muscle memory. You're developing the technique. You're getting into a rhythm. Yes, that rhythm, if you just keep doing this for years and years, can kind of bottleneck you into designing the same thing and you get bored of that after a while. But what you're doing is teaching your brain and your hands to get fluid with the language. It's like repeating a word so many times. When you're speaking Swedish, for instance, you don't think when you're speaking Swedish in Swedish, it just comes out naturally. Where a language you're less familiar with, a foreign language, you have to think and put effort into every word and every sentence you put together. The same thing happens artistically. You're drawing this face so many times that you can just whip it out. And in your particular case, it's anime. I go back around 25 years and more. I was drawing Disney characters all the time. I drew Belle from Beauty and the Beast and Lumiere and Tarzan, and I developed my muscle memory by repeating those a lot. Furthermore, by doing fan art and by analyzing the way professionals do it, you're exposing yourself to a very high standard, and you keep comparing your drawing to the one you want it to look like, and you keep going, no, I can improve it. And that kind of pushes your brain to grow and for you to push the quality of your work. So yes, diversity is important, but repetition is also very important as well, just for the muscle memory.
Like, give myself notes so I can improve. I wanted to be more consistent. I think that's why I kept doing this. But if I had to redo it, absolutely not. This is where I should have moved on to something else. I should have just drawn anything else. And eventually I did. I really wanted to draw more color, but it takes so much time to do that, and I really felt like I needed mileage more than anything. So just adding a little bit of color, sure, we'll ink it, but that's the most effort I'm gonna get into. Yeah, just sketching random stuff I find online. Finally, I move on and I draw boys. This is the boys arc. I drew so much guys from anime because I thought I drew so many mangas. You probably recognize these. I think this is Jujutsu Kaisen. I think, you know, this is a good time for me to address a couple things from my last video, and one of them is
right away. As soon as you get into the male characters, notice how you got a lot more expressive. I'm speaking to Felix directly. Notice how you got more expressive, more experimental, because you're a guy, right? So you're much more in tune to the subtleties of different types of personalities and expressions. I encourage you to do the same thing with female characters, and it's the same for everybody. When you get into drawing, you're more likely to be more expressive with the sex you're more familiar with internally, and that internal self resonates into your work. I'm getting cat fur all over my stuff here.
a huge thanks to other YouTubers that reacted to my video. I think that was so cool to see and actually get encouraged by professionals. I really appreciated that. Another thing was that people said I had an art background. That was like a rumor that went around, and I guess I take that as a compliment, but no, I do not. I have not studied art. That was the whole point of this video. I was not being disingenuous. I have not drawn since I was a kid, but I loved doing Photoshop. Before YouTube, I loved Photoshop.
Maybe you didn't draw since you were, maybe you didn't draw, you know, you didn't keep practicing and stuff like that, but you definitely have an artist's DNA. And yes, you're looking at me through Gimli. Really? Is this really necessary, sir? We're gonna have to put up with that, I'm afraid. It's gonna be focusing on him too, because he's in the focal point. I want the camera to look at me. There you go. But you have an artist's DNA in you. You're not just doing silly little drawings. You actually, I can see you really analyze and scrutinize and have an eye for design. So you're not just walking into this completely blind to the artistic process.
Shopping images and creating artworks that way. So maybe in a sense that helped. But I think the biggest sort of thing that helped is that I'm actually older. Like I'm 35 now, and I think if I did this thing when I was younger, I would not have seen the same improvement. But I also think, you know, the improvement I had, anyone can achieve. Like I wanted my video to be inspiring for other people to do the same thing. Like that's my goal. Like people say anyone can draw, and I truly believe that. Oh, and by the way, I wrote a blog post. Yes, I write blog posts now. It's just more details about my favorite type of notebooks, my favorite kind of pens. If I were to do this challenge again, what would I do differently? How to remain consistent? All these sort of stuff. If you wanted to do this challenge yourself, I recommend checking that out. I just didn't want to get too much detail in this video.
I remember that turning point on your channel where you were like, I can't just keep doing this same generic kind of clickbaity type of YouTube stuff, albeit it's extremely funny and I still watch that stuff all the time. But you said, I want to get into my own thing. This channel is for me. And you kind of, you said, I'm going to let go of doing what's asked of me all the time. And I really want to do what feels genuine to me. Otherwise, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep doing this. I'm going to want to quit. And what I find really awesome is that because you made that decision years ago, look at you now, getting into art. Like, had you not made that decision for yourself a couple of years ago, you wouldn't be discovering this side of yourself. And watching that aspect of your growth is the thing that I find the most endearing, the most heartwarming. It's like, yeah, you made the right decision and now look what you're gaining from that. So kudos to that. I really respect it.
But an insecurity of mine was brewing, which was I couldn't, like if I wanted to draw anime style, sorry, it's hard to see here. You start with a circle, you draw a middle line, you draw where the eyes are going to be, you kind of figure out how the chin is going to be, the nose, the mouth, the ear. And then you swirl in some hair really quick. This method is so helpful because when you draw, it's all about balance. Like if I drew directly, same thing, and anything is like out of proportion, the whole thing just kind of looks weird. So to draw directly, it was so difficult. So I bought this pen. This pen is amazing. It's a brush pen, and if you squeeze it, ink comes out, and you can draw really slim lines or really thick lines really quickly. And I told myself I was gonna force myself to use this pen, even though it looks like shit. I was gonna really, like, I'm gonna use this pen. I need to learn how to draw without the whole circle thing again.
You might not realize this. This is something you're taking for granted, but again, something I watch all the time with art students and something I witnessed in myself. You're expressing through drawing, meaning that as you were explaining things, you were talking through the drawing as you were expressing it. And you were doing a really nice drawing too. And even though it was a wiggly line, it wasn't perfectly pristine, you had a confidence to just be able to kind of talk with your line and express it with your words. Exactly the same way I've been watching all week John Mayer expressing music and scales and techniques while playing at the same time. He's not even thinking about it. It's just coming out of his hands. These drawings are coming out of your hands intuitively, and that's you passing over a certain threshold where you're not sitting there staring at the music sheet, hypothetically speaking, right? You're not staring at the music sheet and looking down at your guitar. You're going straight ahead, and you're doing this with the drawing too.
At least that's what I wanted to do, and it took some time. It felt like taking 100 steps back, but that's how you have to improve, you know? You have to get out of your comfort zone. But I think eventually I started to sort of get the hang of it, and you can get kind of really quickly satisfying result with the high contrast. I really enjoyed, so I did some manga panels, and yeah, it feels like I'm looking at a manga. It's really cool. Getting more comfortable.
Don't only pay attention to Felix's drawings, but pay attention to Felix's discipline, his philosophy. He got uncomfortable with the idea of being too comfortable. He felt the need to push himself and improve, not to get too complacent with this pencil line, but use a tool that forces him to be more committal to every brushstroke that he makes, and allowing himself to create brushstrokes that were sloppy and inky and dirty, that he wasn't afraid to break the mold to find growth. And this is exactly the same discipline that we've been watching him go through with his training, getting himself in shape. His life philosophy is bleeding into his artwork, and it's bleeding into his training, and it's bleeding into his family life, and it's bleeding into his art. So see that the discipline is not just his drawings, but it's a life philosophy. One of the things I really like about what Felix is demonstrating here is he has a very healthy relationship with imperfection. He always has since the beginning of his channel. He's never been afraid to, air his dirty laundry and just be himself.
Well, it's still so hard with proportions, man. Like, anything is slightly off, it's gonna suck. So yeah, this felt like a little side quest, but I'm glad I took it. And yeah, it was really fun. But what I should have been doing is draw other things as well. I did find it amazing, like how I could all of a sudden, even though I never practiced drawing a cloud, I could draw a cloud better than I ever could. So that's cool. Okay, I'm done. But I think something finally sparked in me where before I was like, okay, I just want to draw for the sake of drawing. I don't have any interest in anything. I started drawing manga panels. I started drawing perspective and I wanted to understand these things. Drawing landscapes, this is...
Really? These are pretty dope, just saying.
Hey, I love his work so much. So finally, after, I don't know, 300 days of drawing, I picked up an art book. I should have done this ages ago. So I picked up a couple art books, some more technical than others, but I really enjoyed this one.
My philosophy for learning and for teaching is draw yourself into a dead end first before you reach out for a lesson. I find that a lot of artists tend to not value education or not value the learning process when they're being told to do something. You need to find a place of hard work and frustration. You need to be frustrated with something before you go out and look up tutorials and lessons. And those lessons that you learn will have value to you. They'll bring you an immediate reward because you wanted to get over that hurdle. You just hit a roadblock and you didn't know how to do it on yourself. And this book is helping you get through that.
Taco, because I enjoyed the style of it. Obviously, everyone has different preferences. I think if you were to be a professional artist, you probably want to pick like a human anatomy book and really study it. But for me, it's just supposed to be fun. And I think if I'm having fun, I will remain consistent. So at least that's what I was trying to focus on. I picked up books about perspective because I want to learn and I want to understand this. And I think finally that clicked in me. It went from me just wanting to sketch whatever to, no, I actually want to understand these things so I can draw them better. And I wish I did that sooner. Again, this felt like taking so many steps back because I had no clue how to draw a body. Zero. I had not practiced it at all.
No pressure, Felix, but I have bad news for you. You are slowly turning into a professional. Who else would go out and spend this much money on books on anatomy and stuff like that? Just saying.
And it feels embarrassing to admit this, but like everyone was so amazed by my 100 one that I felt like, okay, well, my year one has to be really good, right? Like, but progress isn't a straight line. Like, I think I was being too hard on myself where I was getting close to a year and I'm like, I don't have anything to show for it. I drew a full body one. And I'm like comparing it to my 80-day one, and I'm like, the 80-day one, it's still better. Even though it's just like full body, it's still better. So yeah, if you want to improve, you have to kind of go through the pain of sucking again, I guess. Because it really felt like, oh, cool. Like I drew for this much, and I don't have anything to show for it. I think I wanted to learn to draw and actually understand anatomy. Before, it didn't matter to me. It was just a hobby. But I'm like, I want to actually know, like, how do you draw legs? How do you draw different expressions? I was genuinely panicking. Like, it's been so frustrated this entire month. Not only because I wanted to show for the video, but I felt genuinely in me like, I can do more. I know I can do more. I know I can do better, and I really wanted that to show, so I really did push myself a lot towards the end here. And that's when I bought an iPad! Coming in clutch last minute.
Uh-oh. Welcome to the clan. It's a great device.
Super satisfying to draw with a pen on an iPad, but obviously it was way different. So again, it was like a last minute learning curve of me not understanding the program and yada yada yada. So let's go through the last thing I drew, which was on the iPad. So I started off just sketching and I was still too scared to draw bodies. I drew this, which I thought was going to be amazing, and I ended up really hating it. I think the colors are fun, but I didn't know how to draw hair. I at least tried to draw like a full body, but I was so scared of getting it wrong that I think I just made it look weird. So I practiced drawing hair, but it's just like nothing interesting about it. This is just to try it out. And then I thought, okay, I'm gonna really wow you guys.
Damn. Like, these are your first attempts at digital art? And you're already pulling this off?
I studied the line work. I tried my best to draw the actual hands. This is gonna be so good. And this is the end result. And I genuinely hate looking at it. I've looked at it so much, it just pisses me off. Even now, I don't want to
Because you've had so much time practicing doing line art in a sketchbook, your line art has gotten very, very solid, and that immediately translated into your digital drawings, into your digital paintings. As soon as you add paint and you colored it in, now you're delving more into the digital painting sides of things. And when you do that, a little note for you is, if you want your line art to resonate through to the finished product, you can use dark values, like blacks and dark values and stuff like that, if you use them a little bit more graphically. And I recommend looking to see how anime artists or manga artists use black or dark values in their paintings to create these graphic shapes. However, if you're flirting with these dark values, these dark grays, these dark shadows and stuff like that, that can start competing with your line art. And that's where things start to fall apart. It's not that the colors are wrong, it's that the values are competing with the line art, that line art should be maintaining the form for you. In my particular case, the type of artwork that I do, I only use the line art as a guide, and then I block it in with values, in which case you generally want to use darker values because that's how you establish the shape, that's how you read the shape. In fact, a way of testing to see if your values and your lighting is functional is hide the line layer, and if you can still tell what you're looking at, if you can still read it well, this means that your values are good.
In my head, it was going to be so much more, you know? And then you look at it and you're like, oh, cool. That was it, huh? I desperately tried to draw something else because I don't know, like I felt like I could do more, but I kept drawing and I couldn't. Like, it just came out looking weird and unsatisfying. This was supposed to be like the most simplest thing ever, like black high contrast.
See, that's not bad. What I'm looking at here, that we're losing a little bit of the form, although you didn't totally lose it because we have that green halo that's helping us define the contours of the hair. But you graphically did this really, really nicely, because if you look at it just in terms of values, the real composition is the shape of the face with the bangs and how that leads into the hand. So this whole shape becomes the composition and the black becomes a backdrop to it. So graphically that works really, really well.
With some color. Still, I didn't like.
And this hand, this pinky and the ring finger, the hand, the way she's touching her face, the tilt of the head, the soft expression, I think that's beautiful. These are some of the most beautiful drawn hands I've seen.
Good. And I was getting so close to the deadline. I think I have like 20 days left until this video. I drew a full body with perspective, and I thought it came out pretty good. I was okay with this one, but I still felt like
Bingo, okay? Look at how nice this works. You've got lighter values, so the line art is taking precedent. And the weight isn't that, not to mention the drawing's really lovely too. That's a very tricky perspective.
could do more. So I sketched for a couple days, and I told myself I'm gonna give one last effort. I have to really like it to actually sketch it. And this is the last thing I drew. I finished it yesterday, and I think I'm finally happy with it.
Look at that. That's freaking beautiful. And this is about a year of practice, and you didn't only fill sketchbooks, but you started learning about anatomy, you got into coloring, digital painting, you've been messing around in Procreate and doing digital painting apps and stuff like that. There's a lot of stylization in there. There's expressiveness in this. I can feel a character who bears a striking resemblance to Marzia, I might add. I can see Marzia in those eyes, and then the kind of expression. I have a feeling she's going to be a bit of a muse for you moving forward. Wow, let's keep watching.
I finally drew clothes that isn't just black, and I actually put some more time into the hair and like making the lines look nice, and small little details, and having the high contrast light. Maybe it's wrong, but it's there at least, and I think it makes it more interesting, you know, with some shadows and different pose, you know, all of it. I think I'm finally happy with it. I think for a year progress, yeah. Am I allowed to be happy? It took a lot of paint to get there, you know, like let's compare. Day 1, day 365. I don't know, maybe maybe you guys disagree, but I feel like I finally beat my 80-day whatever. This is still better. I don't.
Number 1. Yes, your name has weight to it. To the community, to artists, to creators, because you're Pewdiepie, because you're one of the largest channels on YouTube. But what I love about that is that you're such a positive influence. You're doing something that does a service for the community. You're sharing a discipline and a philosophy of self that is a very positive influence to people. But from an artistic perspective, from the art community, what you don't realize you're doing is you sharing your sketchbooks and you sharing your progress and you showing your vulnerability and you showing your flaws and just being there and showing that progress are demonstrating how entertaining and how inspiring it is to watch the human process of artistic growth. And I mean that in the sense that a lot of artists have been very discouraged and frustrated with this whole emergence of artificial intelligence, something that I've been very involved in. What you're doing is you're getting rid of all of that crap and you just pulled out a sketchbook. You just pull out your pen and you just start drawing something from scratch. And there's something incredibly rewarding from a fellow artist to watch that process. Even though I've been doing this for over 25 years, this is the kind of stuff that makes me want to get up and draw. You make me want to draw because you're not showing off some fancy tech. You're just showing what hard work and discipline and passion and dedication does. All I have to say is no matter where you decide to go with this, no matter where you decide to take your career, Felix, you are one of us now.
Welcome aboard. Here's your necklace.
You've very much earned your place in this artistic community. I'm going to be watching your progress, whether you decide to do it just as a hobby or whether you decide to pursue it professionally. I'm going to watch your progress and I'm going to be here to support you like all these other art YouTubers that have been supporting you, all of which you should be paying close attention to because they're all fantastic artists and great teachers. So thank you for being so dedicated. Thank you for being such an awesome influence. And thank you for making me feel more special by joining this community with such great work and dedication. On that note, I love you all with all my heart and happy painting. Take care.